If you haven't seen RVD Tito for Life's latest video, you need to. Basically, Bill is urging all the fans out there who are frustrated with TNA's recent direction to write down their concerns and email them to TNA. I'm not going to elaborate on that anymore, but I sent my email in on Wednesday, and I implore you to do the same. In this email, I listed all the things I wanted to see change about the TNA product: less gimmick matches, more focus on the young talent, etc. And I told them that until those changes were made, I would no longer support TNA as a company, and I stand by that. And this is not me jumping on the WWE bandwagon because their product is the same as always. This is me getting real. You see, the reason I've been reviewing the iMPACT show over these last 13 months is because I've been trying to examine on a week-by-week basis what TNA does right and what they do wrong. And I've always tried to stress the positives while at the same time not shying away from the bad stuff. The thing is, what you've been seeing from me these last few months, that was not me accentuating the positives. That was me being nice. I am getting tired of being nice. So here's the deal. From now on, I'm not going to be so nice when I see something I don't like anymore. I'm going to keep making my videos. I don't have a Nielsen box. TNA is not getting any ratings points from me. I will not be buying any TNA merchandise. I will not be ordering any TNA pay-per-views unless I am 100% convinced that they put their best foot forward and made an honest-to-God, real effort to deliver the best card possible. If I think they half-assed it with the build-up, if I think they half-assed it with the card, I'll keep my money in my wallet and watch the pay-per-view for free on streaming video, which, for the record, is how I watched Genesis and how I watched Final Resolution the month before that. And from this point forward, when I review the go-home shows, I will tell you guys whether I'm ordering the pay-per-view or if I'm going to watch it on a stream, and I will explain my reasons why. And now that the kid gloves are off, there's a little news item I need to cover. Those long-rumored talent cuts finally started happening this week. Rock and Rave Infection are gone, no surprise there. But Petey Williams is gone too, and I am absolutely disgusted by that. Now, I don't think I need to explain how much TNA dropped the ball with Petey Williams. That is self-explanatory. But what kills me about this is that Petey was definitely one of the more talented young stars TNA had, was involved in a major storyline, and was one of the only guys on the roster that could actually pull a watchable match out of Scott Steiner. You let a guy like that get away. You couldn't agree on a new contract, so you let him go so you can freshen up the undercard with new faces. New faces such as Stevie Richards, a guy who has nothing to contribute to TNA at this point in his career. What's next? What's next? You gonna get rid of Sanjay Dutt to make room for Balls Mahoney? Whatever. iMPACT. This was a more enjoyable show than what they've been producing lately, but there was still some crap I did not like. And let's get that out of the way right now. Number 1, ODB's angle. It's stupid. It's pointless. It's not funny at all. It's the same thing every time. Just ODB making a bunch of dirty jokes. I don't like it. Get rid of it. It's a complete waste of time. Second, the Abyss therapy session where he spends most of it talking about the Obama kids and Lost and Family Guy. I don't think I need to say much more about that. I don't care if it's just a way to introduce Stevie Richards. Why is he talking about Lost and Family Guy? It makes no sense. The best thing you could say about either of these skits is that they were short. Third, Petey Williams versus Scott Steiner in a chainmail on a pole match. I cannot stand pole matches. I hate them. I think it's one of the stupidest gimmick matches ever created. I think it's a relic of the Attitude Era, and that's where it should have stayed. And you know what? Since Petey is now gone from TNA, I don't see any reason to even talk about this match at all. Now, the rest of the show I thought was pretty enjoyable. The opening tag match was not very good. I think lately Team 3D have really started to show how much they've diminished in the last few years. This was more about the story of Sting and Angle than it was about the match. And if you recall, I said in the last video that I'm getting really tired of that. Trying to tell a story about characters does not excuse you from not delivering a good match. However, I will say that the stuff with Sting and Kurt Angle afterwards was very good. They built it up nicely throughout the show, and the segment with them that closed the show, with Angle trying to get Sting to lie down for him and Sting trying to get inside Angle's head, was one of the more compelling segments iMPACT has produced in a while. And I'm kind of torn about this part because there are a lot of positives to take away from it. The execution of it was way better than what TNA normally does. They announced a huge match, Sting versus Kurt Angle, for next week. So for once, they're announcing a big match a week in advance and hyping it up to make it look like it's really important, which they almost never bother to do for some reason. The thing is, the match they're building up to is an empty arena match. Why? Empty arena? What is the point of that? Why not just have a normal match? Once again, this is the writers trying to be different just for the sake of being different, not because it makes sense to be different. So I'm torn on this one because the execution was very good by TNA standards, but the idea itself may turn out to be completely stupid. Stay tuned for that one. X Division Tag Match, Motor City Machine Guns versus Lethal Consequences. The match was very good. Great action, although it needed to be about 5 minutes longer. Once again, the crowd was more into the guns than Lethal and Creed, and I think I know why. It's because the Motor City Machine Guns are just much, much cooler. I mean, they may be heels, but they're cool heels. The way they look, their ring attire, the way they act, the way they talk, the way they carry themselves. They're kind of like the original NWO that way, in that even though they're bad guys, a lot of people cheer for them because they just come off as so much cooler than the baby faces. You always see people doing this in the crowd all the time. People love to emulate those guys. Look at Lethal Consequences. These guys are not getting over as a team. You know why? They are geeks. They are huge geeks, and it is obvious. They don't play it cool at all. Their entrance music sounds like something Ernest Miller would dance to in WCW. Creed's always jumping around in his American flag tights, being all hyperactive like he just downed a gallon of coffee. Lethal is still wearing this ridiculous getup, still talking like he's the Macho Man from 1989. People stopped caring about this gimmick months ago, and what was cool in 1989 does not equal cool in 2009. Frankly, the fans have no reason at all to cheer for them over the Motor City Machine Guns because Sabin and Shelley have found an identity that works perfectly for them, while Lethal and Creed need a complete gimmick and personality overhaul. The Knockouts match. 9-woman gauntlet to determine the #1 contender for the title. Some jobber Bolt ended up winning. Don't agree with that. Bolt has been in TNA for a couple of months now, and she really has not impressed me at all. She has not had a single good match. In fact, her wrestling so far has been mediocre at best. And if they were going to have one of the Kong Tourage win the match, possibly turn on Kong and go babyface, then it should have been Melissa, and that is the bottom line. Melissa, without the Muslim gimmick, is one of the best female competitors in the industry. Melissa, with the Muslim gimmick, is a jobber. But beyond just that, Raisha Saeed being the one to get the title shot would have been a much more compelling story. She's been aligned with Kong longer than anybody else. She's closer with Kong than anybody else. She knows Kong better than anybody else. So if they had her turn on Kong, and if they presented it right, she could be Kong's worst nightmare. And I got really excited for a minute when Don West said he wanted to see Raisha Saeed win the match just to see what would happen if she had to face Kong. It pissed me off when that turned out to be just a tease. To have some jobber Bolt get the win when she hasn't even proven herself yet just felt like a big waste. Although I did like that they had Ashley Lane / Madison Rayne last until the end, until the final two, to have her make a splash in her official debut for the company. If you hadn't heard, TNA signed her to a contract, so she's a full-time member of the roster now. They could do worse than her. Although, if they wanted somebody short and cute, I would have gone with Portia Perez instead. But, you know, I've seen some of Ashley Lane's matches online. She seems like a fairly solid worker. I expect they'll be adding her to the Beautiful People. There was a rumor going around about that. It makes sense to add a third if Daphne's working with Taylor and Roxy, so that's a decent signing, I guess. They're still hurting for a solid top babyface, though. And finally, looks like they're having an Ultimate X match at Destination X, and it looks like they're actually making an effort to hype it up this time. We saw commercials for it during the show, and they're doing a rough cut series about it. That's good. Makes the match look more important, just like it should. I think it'll be the Motor City Machine Guns versus Lethal Consequences, which has been building for a while, that feud. But if it's not, then this is what I want to see happen. I do not want this Ultimate X to be some big, generic, multi-man spot fest with no meaning like the Steel Asylum match was at Bound for Glory. What I want is 4 or 5 guys in this thing. 5 guys at the most. In order to get entered in it, they need to earn their spot by winning qualifying matches. I want to know why this match is so important to each of them, so I have a reason to care about each of them. I want to know exactly what is at stake, whether it's settling a personal grudge, whether it's the X title, an X title shot, and if it's about the title, then I want to know what the champion, Alex Shelley, is thinking and feeling about that. If they can accomplish all that, they will have created a compelling Ultimate X that will mean a hell of a lot more than some random spot fest that you just used to pop the crowd at 8 p.m. So we'll see. We'll just see about that. This is how it's going to be from now on. Kid gloves are off. Peace out.